Wokeness? It's one of the most charged words in modern culture. For some, it represents awareness, justice, and progress. For others, it's censorship, division, and manipulation. But underneath the noise, one question lurks. Is wokeness truly about equality, or is it being used as a tool of control? In this documentary, we'll go deeper than the headlines. We'll explore the rise of woke culture, how it's marketed, weaponized, and manipulated, and most importantly, who benefits. Because in politics and power, movements are rarely what they seem on the surface. What does woke really mean? The term woke originated in African American communities during the early 20th century. It simply meant being awake to injustice, especially racism. It was a warning, a reminder to stay vigilant against systems that sought to oppress. By the 2010s, the word exploded into mainstream culture. Social media made woke synonymous with progressive activism, climate justice, LGBTQ+ rights, gender equality, racial awareness. But once the word gained popularity, something predictable happened. The original meaning shifted. Corporations, politicians, and media elites saw its potential and began to repurpose it. What started as grassroots awareness was transformed into a marketing slogan, a political football, and eventually a cultural battlefield. The corporate hijacking of wokeness? Ask yourself, why are billion-dollar corporations suddenly champions of social justice? Nike, for example, featured Colin Kaepernick, the NFL player who kneeled during the national anthem, in a major campaign. Outrage erupted. Some people burned their Nike shoes on camera. Others praised the company for bravery. The result? Nike's online sales jumped by 31% in the days after the campaign launched. Outrage turned into profit. The same can be said for Bud Light and Tootai 3. When the beer brand collaborated with a transgender influencer, it triggered a massive backlash. Boycotts swept across the country. But behind the headlines, sales spiked in some demographics while the brand received billions in free publicity. This is called woke capitalism. Companies don't care about justice. They care about clicks, attention, and market share. They use controversy like fuel. Outrage is good for business. Wokeness is a political weapon, but it's not just business. Wokeness has also become a political weapon. Here's why. Division creates power. When citizens are locked in endless cultural battles, they stop questioning bigger issues: wars, mass surveillance, economic inequality. This is the classic strategy of divide and rule. It was used by ancient Rome, by European empires, and now by modern governments. In the US, the culture war dominates headlines. One side accuses the other of being too woke, while the other side accuses critics of being bigoted. But while citizens fight over pronouns, libraries, and TikTok videos, Wall Street consolidates wealth. Politicians pass trillion-dollar spending bills, and global conflicts escalate. The chaos of wokeness distracts from the machinery of power. Media, algorithms, and the outrage machine. Why does woke discourse spread so fast? Because outrage is profitable. Social media algorithms reward content that enrages. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all of them thrive when people argue. Anger keeps users online, clicking and sharing. A neutral headline fades. A divisive headline goes viral. That's why you see stories like library bans controversial book, celebrity canceled over tweet from 2010, company sparks outrage with pride logo. These stories aren't chosen by accident. They're engineered to stoke division. The result? People argue endlessly online, while the system profits in silence. Historical echoes, movements that got co-opted, this isn't new. History shows us that powerful movements often get hijacked. In the 1960s, the civil rights movement was infiltrated by the FBI's COINTELPRO program. Activists were spied on, harassed, and discredited. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. were targeted. The goal wasn't justice, it was control. Environmentalism faced the same fate. Oil companies created the term carbon footprint to shift blame from corporations to individuals. Instead of questioning global pollution, citizens were told to recycle plastic bottles. The anti-war movement of the early 2000s was drowned in partisan infighting, while wars in Iraq and Afghanistan dragged on for decades. The pattern repeats. Movements for justice gain traction, then get diluted, redirected, or commodified. Wokeness fits right into this cycle. The illusion of progress. Woke branding gives the illusion of progress without changing the system. Take Hollywood. Every year, films are praised for representation. Companies highlight diversity on screen. But behind the scenes, the same studios underpay workers, exploit tax breaks, and lobby against unions. Disney waves the flag of inclusivity in its films. Yet Disney has faced lawsuits over gender pay gaps and mistreatment of employees. Corporations support Pride Month in June, but quietly donate millions to politicians who oppose LGBTQ rights in July. It's rebellion in style, conformity in substance. Citizens feel like progress is happening, but the deeper power structures remain untouched. Cancel culture and censorship. One of the most controversial aspects of wokeness is cancel culture. At first, it looked like accountability. Powerful figures exposed for misconduct. But quickly, it spiraled into fear. A comedian makes an off-color joke, and their career ends. A worker posts something 10 years ago, and they're fired. While some cases involve genuine harm, many are over trivialities. The effect is chilling. People stop questioning, stop debating, stop speaking freely. This creates a culture of silence. And silence ironically strengthens control. Censorship disguised as justice is still censorship. Case study, academia, and language control. Universities are often at the forefront of woke movements. Speech codes, safe spaces, trigger warnings, all designed to protect students. But critics argue this goes too far, creating environments where debate is stifled. Professors self-censor. Students fear expressing unpopular opinions. George Orwell once wrote, "If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear." In woke academia, that liberty is fading. And when ideas can't be challenged, power goes unexamined. Wokeness in politics, both sides. Benefit politicians weaponize wokeness from both directions. On the left leaders embrace woke rhetoric to signal progressiveness, even while maintaining ties to corporations and lobbyists. On the right, politicians attack wokeness as a threat, using it to rally their base. Both sides benefit. Both sides distract. And both sides avoid discussing systemic corruption, economic inequality, or the growing surveillance state. The culture war is a theater, and the audience is us. Section 10. Who benefits from the division? Let's ask the real question. Who benefits from endless cultural chaos? Media companies profit from outrage. Corporations profit from branding. Politicians profit from division. Governments profit from distraction. Meanwhile, ordinary people lose friendships, communities fracture, and meaningful reform stalls. When everyone is arguing about culture, no one is questioning power. Is wokeness engineer? So, is this system intentional or accidental? Some researchers argue that wokeness is deliberately encouraged by elites because it keeps populations divided and distracted. Others say it's simply a cultural trend amplified by technology. Either way, the outcome is the same: chaos for citizens, control for institutions. Final reflection, wokeness began as awareness, a genuine call for justice. But like so many movements before it, it has been hijacked, repurposed, and weaponized. Today, it functions as a system of profit, distraction, and control. That doesn't mean all activism is meaningless. It means we need to look deeper. We need to ask, who benefits? Who profits? Who gains power? Because when a movement is no longer about liberation, but about management, it stops serving the people and starts serving the system. And perhaps that's the hidden power at play.